Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hi, can you guys see and hear me okay? Please just type in the chat. Tutor Nicole, I can see and hear you. Welcome, everybody. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Can everybody see and hear me? Okay, awesome. We can see and hear me. Thank you. Lovely. Well, welcome, everybody, to Cambly's live session today. I am Tutor Nicole. And I just wanted to say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're calling in from today. We're going to take a few minutes until we get started. And in that time, can you please type in the chat and tell me, where are you from? Where are you watching this video from today? Hi. Good morning. I am from the United States. Where are you from? All right. Hello from Brazil, Greece, Nepal, Saudi Arabia, Czech Republic. Lovely. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining the live session. Hi from Canada, Sri Lanka, Russia, Nigeria. Hi from India. Thank you so much for joining. Hi from Brazil, Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh. Hello. Hi from Argentina. Awesome. Looks like we have students from all over. That's something I really love about Cambly, is getting to know people from all different countries. So thank you so much for joining. Hi from Pakistan and Indonesia. I'm sure it's night where you are, right? In Indonesia. Hi, welcome. So first I wanted to just give you guys a heads up. I apologize. I have a cold right now. I'm sick, so I might sneeze, and I apologize in advance. So anyway, thank you for joining. Yay! Yes, I know, it's so lovely. All right, well, we're going to get started here in a second, but our topic today is tips and tricks to help you improve your fluency in English. Thank you. And if you join late to this live session, you can either go back from the beginning and watch it. I've also put at the pin at the top of this page a link where you can start this live session from the beginning. So again, if you join late, don't worry. You can just click the link pinned in the chat and watch this live video from the beginning, okay? Alrighty. Before we get started, I do want to talk about Cambly. If you don't know what Cambly is, it's an online English learning platform where you can learn English with native English speakers. I am a tutor on Cambly, and I'll be your tutor for today's session. All right, are you guys ready? Okay. So today we're going to talk about some tips and tricks to improve fluency. Fluency is the ability to read, write, and speak in a foreign language easily and accurately. Okay, so it can be hard, and it takes a long time to become fluent, right? And a lot of hard work. So we're going to discuss some top 10 tips that will help you improve your fluency. And you'll also see I have some keys here behind me. So some things we're going to talk about today is, number one, we're going to work on slowing down speaking and really pronunciating. Number two is helping to memorize common phrases. Typically, instead of having to go word for word, if you remember a whole phrase, it's a lot easier to speak. Number 3 is to create a routine and stick to your routine to be consistent. Number 4 is to watch TV, listen to music or podcasts in English with English subtitles. That way, you're fully immersed in the language. Number 4 is to change your phone settings to English, so you get your notifications, your social media, all in English. Number 6 is to practice with family and friends who also speak English. Maybe when you're with them, you only speak English together. Number 7, obviously, is to practice with a tutor. Just like Cambly, it brings students who are trying to learn English and native English speakers together, and that's a great opportunity to better your English. And then number 8 is to use it every single day. And so these are some of the things we're going to talk about today. And so number 1, my first tip for you guys is to start speaking English as much as possible. My second language is Spanish, and what I did is I would speak it in my head. I would speak it out loud, even when I'm alone, just speaking and speaking and speaking as much as you can. So some examples or opportunities where you could practice your speaking are Cambly lessons. There's some language learning apps. A really famous one is Duolingo. Or maybe some live events like this Cambly Live, where you listen to people live. Another one is to speak with your friends or family who speak English and practice with each other to make it fun. Another way to practice your speaking is to narrate your own life. So maybe out loud you're speaking, oh, I am making a coffee. I am pouring the coffee in the cup. So narrating what you do in English will help. And that also goes with speak out loud your thoughts. A lot of the times we might think in our native language, but trying to switch that and speak and think in English and speak out loud what you're thinking. These are all great opportunities to help you with opportunities to speak English. Okay, number 2 is to get a tutor. I'm sure a lot of us on here already has an English speaking tutor. If you have an English speaking tutor, please type in the chat. I'm curious. Do you have an English speaking tutor? So you can find a tutor that you work well with on Cambly and tell them this is what I want to work on, and they will create a lesson for you based on what you want to work on. And this is great because you can help with not only speaking, but listening, reading, writing. That's my favorite one. Yeah, and there's group classes as well. How old were you when you started learning English? Did you learn in school? Did you learn in university? Did you learn when you were a baby? In school? Awesome. Okay, number 3 is to expose yourself to English every day. Don't go a single day without practicing English. And some ways that we can do this every day is you could change your phone settings to English. You go to your settings in your phone and switch the language to English. Listen to English music, or you could watch the news in English. Some more is watch TV shows in English with English subtitles, or you could keep a journal. The reason I recommend watching shows or movies in English with English subtitles is because for me, when I was learning Spanish, I would watch whatever show I was interested in in Spanish with English subtitles, and I would just read the English subtitles. So I wasn't really immersing myself to learn new phrases, which is why it's important to have both in English. Subtitles and the audio, and then you can see the words and hear them. And Susanna, I see what kind of TV shows. I would say stuff that you're interested in. For example, I really love reality TV shows. So something you're interested in and want to watch. Okay, number 4 is to use technology. Technology has a lot of really great tools. So if you don't live in an English-speaking country, technology is your main resource, right? So some things you could do with technology is you could chat with others using English. You could watch YouTube videos in English. There's a lot that you could do on your computer. You could talk to Cambly tutors on using technology. Okay, number 5 is to use resources made for your level. So don't do anything that's too easy or too hard. For example, like when reading a book, let's say you've been studying for 5 years of English, you wouldn't want to read a children's book. You would want to challenge yourself, but nothing too hard where you don't understand. So finding your right level is important. And then when you find your right level, you can start to increase the difficulty, right? Okay, number 6, work on your pronunciation. Speak with clarity and slow down. Sometimes I feel like when you want to be fluent, you think, oh, I have to speak fast so that people know that I can speak English fluently. But then we might make grammar mistakes. So it's important to slow down and really pronunciate your words. Okay. So some things that might help with this, with your pronunciation, is to mimic native speakers on YouTube, TV, movies, or music you might see. So maybe you watch a scene and you like how someone says something, you can pause, say what they say, replay. Mimic is to repeat. So for example, I might say, mimic me when I say, good morning from the United States. So mimic is to repeat the phrase I say. Okay, number 7, I think this one's really important. It's to learn whole phrases, not just words. So type in the chat if you do the same thing, where you will think in your head, I, and then a verb, and then the present tense of that verb is I go, and then in the store, I go to the store. And you're thinking word to word. If you learn whole phrases, it can really help you become a lot more fluent. And today we're going to be learning whole phrases that will help you be more fluent. That'll be our last part of the session. So, for example, common phrases, maybe like, tonight I'm going to blank. And then you can continue with that. Instead of doing the words, tonight I am going to, phrases are really important to learn, not just a word, right? So do your best to avoid translating word for word in your head and focus on memorizing phrases. And a good way to memorize phrases, I think Susanna, you commented this, is to mimic native English speakers, listen to movies, listen to music, and repeat the phrases that they use. Yeah. Okay, we have 2 more tips, or 3 more. So 8 is to change your lifestyle. If you have the opportunity, if you don't live in an English-speaking country, maybe try to get a job or a hobby that involves speaking English. So, for example, maybe like a friend or a family member also knows English. Um, let's say your best friend knows English, only speak English with them. Instead of speaking your native language, force yourself to only speak English with that person. Okay, number 9 is don't focus too much on grammar. Sometimes if you focus too much on grammar, it can be difficult to sound fluent. You shouldn't be scared of making mistakes. You will still be understood if your grammar isn't perfect. And I know on Cambly Live, we teach a lot about grammar, and it's important to know grammar. But if you focus too much on grammar, it can affect you and your fluency. So sometimes focusing too much on perfect grammar, it might slow your speaking. And again, my recommendation is to memorize phrases. Okay, last tip. Practice, practice, then practice some more. Be strict with yourself. So have a routine. And set a goal of like blank minutes per day that you'll do something. Once you have your routine, stick with it and make sure you create a routine and stick with it. So for example, I had a goal of doing 50 push-ups a day for 4 months. And if I didn't do 50 push-ups one day, I would have to do 100 push-ups the next day. And so keeping in my mind, I have to do it. Yes, I really did. I stuck with it. And once you keep doing it, you get better and better and better. So with that, Cambly students, do you have a routine that you do every day to maybe better yourself, better your health, better your English or your fluency? My example is I do 50 push-ups a day to get stronger. In regards to fluency, what do you do? What routines do you have that you stick with it? Okay, yes, sometimes you might start a routine and then after a few days you forget about it. You don't do it once and then you're done, right? Okay, maybe reading is a really good example. Setting a goal for yourself. For example, I set a goal, I want to read 1 book a month this year. So I have to read 12 books in a year, right? You set a number, a goal, and you stick with it. Susanna, that's a great goal. You attend a Cambly Live lesson every single Sunday. That's great. Okay, so together, I thought it would be fun if we make a goal or set a routine. Okay, so together we are going to set a goal together or make a routine, and this will help us improve our fluency. So if you want, maybe get out a piece of paper and a pencil, or maybe get out your phone, and we are going to create our own goals to make a routine to better our English. Yes, let's do it. Okay. So, an example of a goal. You start with I will. Okay. I will watch 30 minutes of English TV a day. So you have I will, you have what you want to do. Read a book, speak with a Cambly tutor, listen to TV in English with English subtitles. The amount of time, and then how often. Okay, so watch 30 minutes of English TV every day. Practice on Cambly 3 times a week. Maybe a goal is I will change my phone settings and social media to English. I will learn a new phrase every day. I will only speak English with my sister Jenny. I will listen to 3 English podcasts per week. Okay, so are you guys thinking of your goals? That's a really good question. So how many hours do you recommend to take classes on Cambly app to be fluent ASAP? Personally, I recommend doing it every day if you can, if that's an option. I had a student from Saudi Arabia, the sun, and she made it her goal to do Cambly every day, and she hit a record of 500-day streak, and she would talk at least 30 minutes with her Cambly tutor a day. And I've seen her go from here to here with her English because she stuck with that routine. A streak is like how many days in a row. And that's what I would recommend if you can. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to set a realistic goal. Sometimes, tell me if this happens to you, we set a goal and it's not realistic. And let's say I want to go to the gym for 2 hours every single day. And realistically, you don't have the time and energy to go that much. And you give up on your goal. It's too hard. So you need to set something that's realistic, something you can actually do. Right. So a realistic goal. I like to call these goals SMART goals. And I'll show you how. SMART goals, SMART, okay? They have to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So specific, for example, I will read a book, okay? Measurable, so how often will you read a book? I will read a book, 1 book per month, okay? Attainable, can you actually do this? Anybody can do that, right? You can actually read a book, 1 book per month. Relevant, will it actually help you better your English? Is this level your level? And then time bound, do you actually have the time to invest in this goal? Okay, with this in mind, we're gonna make our own SMART goals. So go ahead and type in the chat at least 1 goal that you will do to improve your fluency. Okay, so type in the chat at least one goal you will do to improve your fluency. Okay, so I will do this many times. Okay. Maybe I will talk with my English native friends for this many minutes a week. I will see English shows and podcasts in English this many times a week or a month. I will speak for at least 1 hour every day. I will read a chapter in a book every day. That's attainable. That's a good SMART goal. Nice. Okay, I will do 15 minutes daily of English speaking. I will learn a new phrasal verb every day for 30 days. I will read every day for at least 20 minutes. I will listen to BBC News at least 15 minutes every day. Good. Now, the next thing I want you guys to think about is we have our goals, right? A big thing is time. So, when in the day, in your daily routine, will you do this goal? For example, my 50 push ups every day. I have my daily routine. And I'm tired after work. I'm not motivated. So, the first thing I do is I wake up, I get ready for the day, I do my 50 push ups, and I go to work. That way, I know I have the time to do it. So, when will you do your goal? Maybe on weekends. Okay. So when will you do your goal? Every day, after work, before work, 5 p.m. Irene, a good way to listen to podcasts. I use the app Spotify, and a lot of times you could look up like English for English learner podcasts and find your level. So I like Spotify. Okay, so maybe every day in the morning before work, right after work from 6:15 to 6:30 a.m. Great examples. Okay, my last question for you guys that are making a goal is how will you keep track of your goal? Okay, so I know we have our head, oh, I want to do 15 minutes of reading every single day, right? How will we track our goal? Will you make a calendar? Will you put it in your phone? Will you set a reminder? You could use sticky notes. Good. Okay. What I like to do when setting a goal is I print off a calendar and I might name the calendar goal and then have the goals, right? So maybe I have 3 goals a day. 5 minutes of a podcast, 1 chapter in a book, and 30 minutes speaking English with a tutor, right? And you put those 3 goals on every day. And when you complete the goal, you cross it out. And the feeling you get at the end of the month when you cross it off is so good. Yes. So that's a good way. You could set a reminder in your phone. A progress chart, that's a good one. Okay. Well, let's move on. We're going to talk about some tips. Set at least 1 to 2 goals at once. Sometimes if you set too many goals, it's too much to remember and too hard. So start with just 1 or 2 goals. Next is to prioritize your goals. So sometimes we really love to do maybe a hobby, watching TV in your native language. Sometimes you have to prioritize your goals. Oh no, I have to do this goal before I can do this. Maybe something you enjoy. And then the last tip is to track your progress. I think someone in here said make a progress chart. Track your progress to check every day I did this goal. Okay, don't forget to read, write, listen, and speak English every day. Every single day. That's what will get you to become fluent. Okay, so this applies to people who do not like to read. Who does not like to read? I used to not like to read. If you don't like reading, try this. Find something you like or are interested in. I used to hate reading. Just last year, I maybe read 2 whole books since I was 18. I didn't like reading. I would start a book and not finish it, or like a TV show. What you have to do is find what you like and do what you like. I realized that I really like romance books and reality TV. And that's what got me inspired to read more. Is don't force yourself to read books you don't like. Read something you do like. And if you don't, there's other forms of reading. If you don't like to read books, you could read social media. You could read news. You could read anything as long as it's in English. Text messages. Okay. So let's learn some common phrases to better our fluency. Earlier, we were talking about how it's important to learn whole phrases and not individual words, right? Because sometimes if we do word for word for word, it makes us a little slower with our speaking. We're thinking too much. We're scared to make mistakes. So we're going to learn some common phrases that will help you. And while I go through these, my advice is to mimic or copy me and how I speak, and it might help you, again, with your fluency. So, some common phrases to ask how someone is. You could say, "What's up?" "What's new?" "What have you been up to?" "How's it going?" Or "How's life?" So these are different ways to ask how someone else is doing, and they're very common in English. Some common phrases to express how you are. Maybe someone said, "How's it going?" You could say, "I'm fine, how about you?" "Can't complain." "Could be better," or "living the life." Living the life is like, "I'm loving life, I'm really good." Living the life. Could be better is typically like you're not doing well, and bad could be better. Okay, nothing new, right? Okay, some common phrases to say thank you. Can you see this okay? Okay, to say thank you. I really appreciate it. I appreciate it. That's so nice of you. Or I owe you one. These are different ways to say thank you. If someone says thank you, here are some ways that we could respond. So some common phrases to respond to thank you are no problem, no worries, anytime, or my pleasure. Okay. If we want to end a conversation but still be polite, you could say, "It was so nice chatting with you." Or maybe like, "Anyway, I should get going." Anyway, I should get going. Instead of just being like, "Okay, bye." Maybe, "It was so nice chatting with you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. See you later." If you want to ask for information, asking for information, "Do you have any idea where the bathroom is?" "Would you happen to know where the bathroom is?" "Do you know where the bathroom is?" Okay, so again, instead of memorizing word for word, these are some common phrases to help ask you for information. Okay, some different ways to say, "I don't know." You could say, "I have no clue," or "I have no idea." You could say, "I can't help you there. I don't know." Or you could say, "I'm not really sure." Some common phrases if you want to agree with someone instead of saying just me too or same, you could say exactly, absolutely, that's so true, 100%. Like, I agree 100%. Or, you're telling me. You're telling me. Okay. If we want to talk about prices, here are some common phrases to talk about prices of things. It costs a fortune. It costs a fortune means it's very expensive. It costs a fortune. It costs an arm and a leg also means it's very expensive. It costs an arm and a leg. That's a ripoff, meaning you spent more than it's worth. So let's say something's worth $5 and they're asking for $50. That's a ripoff, right? That's a good deal. If something is worth the price it is, it's a good deal, it's cheap. Or it's dirt cheap. Dirt cheap is what we say if it's really cheap. It's dirt cheap. Next, we're going to talk about some common phrases. This is our last one. Some common phrases about being tired. So if someone asks how you are you doing, instead of saying, I'm tired, some common phrases would be, I'm exhausted. I'm really tired. I'm dead tired. I'm beat. Like I'm beat. Or I'm gonna hit the sack. Okay. I'm gonna hit the sack is another phrase for like, I'm going to go to bed. Instead of I'm gonna go to bed, you would say, I'm going to hit the sack. Have you heard this phrase before? I'm going to hit the sack. It's a weird phrase. I'm going to hit the sack. Because you would think I'm going to hit the sack, but it really means I'm going to go to bed. Yeah, I know. It's a weird phrase. Yeah. Yeah, it's common. Okay. So I just have a few more questions for you guys, and then we'll end our session here in a little bit. But again, our live session today is talking about tips and tricks to improve your speaking, improve your fluency. And if you are late to this live session, you can click the link at the top, or you could watch this video back from the beginning after this live session is done. Okay? All right. My question for you guys, this is where I want you to type in the chat. Okay? Type in the chat. What routines will you continue doing to better your fluency? So what are you already doing towards your fluency to help? Okay. I can see all of you guys here are already watching Cambly live on Sundays and Saturdays, right? So I will continue doing Cambly live on Sunday. I will continue reading 5 minutes a day. What will you continue doing that's already in your routine? I will continue watching videos in English. I'm from the United States. Okay, I will continue watching movies. I will continue reading 15 minutes a day. Again, what will you continue doing in English to help better your fluency? I will continue speaking with native speakers. Awesome. Okay, my next question is, what will you start doing to better your fluency? So I already read 5 minutes a day. Now I will start also listening to podcasts in English. Okay, so what will you start? What will you begin doing to help better your fluency? Maybe I will begin practicing with a tutor on Cambly. I will begin or I will start reading more. Okay, great examples. Awesome. Now, one of my last questions is what have you already done to improve your fluency? So, in the past, what have you already done to improve your fluency? Maybe I have been to England for 2 weeks. I have um, I have been speaking with a tutor for a month. Um, in the past, I have taken 5 years of English in university. So, what have you done in the past to help with your fluency? Okay, so I went to an English speaking camp. I studied at the British Council. I listened to audio recordings. I've watched movies, tutor clips on YouTube. Maybe I have studied English for 15 years. Awesome. All right. Thank you for sharing. Okay, my last question. We have set our goals. We've learned some ways to improve our fluency. My last question is what will you do to improve your fluency? So you could say, I currently practice 30 minutes a day, but I will practice for 45 minutes a day. Okay, maybe I will start speaking English with my friends. I will start reading more, right? I will start speaking for at least 1 hour a day. Perfect. All right. Well, that concludes our session for today. I have two last words for you guys. Don't forget to practice. And when you think you're done practicing, practice some more. Okay, so practice, practice, practice. Don't stop practicing. Make sure to set your goals and stick with your goals. Be consistent. All right. Do you guys have any last questions for me? If you have a question or a comment, just type it in the chat. Again, if you were late to our live session, don't worry. You can watch it from the beginning after I complete this live session. You could also click the link in the chat. That'll take you to this live session so you can watch it again. Okay, so I'll wait for you to ask any questions. I do have a promo code for you guys. You could either click the link in this video, or you could go to Cambly and type in Go Live. This is a promo code, a promotion code that could get you up to 36% off of your yearly subscriptions. And this is good for Cambly. Again, if you don't know what Cambly is, it's an online English platform where you can learn English with native English speakers like me. I'm a tutor on Cambly. And if you want to book a reservation, you can also click the link below. I am not from New York. I am from Ohio. What other questions do we have? Any other questions? Yes, thank you for joining the live session today. It was so nice to talk with people from all over the world. Um, we will have these live sessions on Saturdays and Sundays. Yes, Susanna, I'm also going to hit the sack. I'm so exhausted. I'm going to hit the sack as well. But before I do, I'm going to set a goal and I'm going to do those 50 push-ups. Besides, my favorite country I've been to is Argentina. But I haven't, yeah, Argentina. Yes, thank you so much for learning with me today. It was so nice to meet you, and I will see you on Cambly as well. All right, you guys have a great rest of your day, morning or afternoon or evening. Yes. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye, everybody.